Hi, so I would like to do a vlog about a point that opened up to me with communicating with my Destiny Process buddy. In Destiny Process, we have buddies to support us through the process. It is one of the cool parts about Destiny Process. Now, what I was made aware of is a pattern that I have been living for quite so many years now. It's a pattern of jumping and avoiding issues, avoiding dimensions, avoiding energies, avoiding mind bothers, avoiding investigating my issues myself. Like I would jump or bounce away from a certain issue or a topic that would be delicate to me, that would be problematic for me. I would run away and jump from that pattern and look at something completely different and distract myself from what was my issue, what was my problem, what was my case to be solved, or assignment, you might say. So within this, I have investigated a problem, and then when issues show up that are bothersome, that are painful, that are emotional, that are energetic, that are dimensional, that are layered, that are complicated, that are difficult, or that are friction to it, that are polarity to it, whatever it's within that point, that mind point that I'm investigating, I would see that this point is complicated and perhaps bothersome in some way, energetic way, or something that is bothersome with this point that I'm looking at. And so I would jump and bounce away from that issue, that situation, and find myself looking at something else more attractive, more delightful, more that is not that bothersome, that is not like a mind point, perhaps that is something, or perhaps not that difficult, that is an easy mind fuck, jumping away from my issues solution. Irresponsibility, you could say very easily say that it's a point of irresponsibility. I'm jumping from my conclusion, from my issue into irresponsibility. I refuse to take responsibility for the bothers at hand. So that is what I've been looking at within my latest point, latest blog, and that I'm recording here. And I see that this particular pattern of jumping away from my studies, from my problems, from my assignment, jumping away and bouncing away and just occupying something else within my mind, it has its roots in when I was going to school. Like very much of our programming has its roots from the very school and childhood, of course. Uh, I was going to school and I remember that I found particularly mathematics very problematic. I could not get my head around the math because what I saw on paper as 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 did not equate to the society of money. There was somebody who had endless lots of money who did not deserve endless lots of money, or there was such an unbalance in the world outside of school. In the world outside of school, there was an endless unbalance of money and wealth, while in school we were explained that the balance, the mathematics, the 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, and the 1 plus 1 equals 2, but in the outside world, in the bank, in the media, in the TV, and so on and so on, there was a total other picture. It was out of balance. It was very much out of balance, like we see today. Do you not agree that the mathematics in school does not comply with the mathematics of finances and money in the world? It does not add up. It is out of balance. And it's no wonder why people, when children and people are having issues and problems with school, because it's so fucked up. It's beyond. It is beyond. And it boils down to what we learn our children of lies, perhaps, of something that we would like to see, that we force them to to take in, that I was forced to take in. And with that case of not understanding my math, I taught myself to jump the most difficult lessons. I would jump past these difficult lessons and skip them, and maybe do this one, not this one, this is too difficult. I will skip this one, I will continue on this one and this one, but there comes one that's more difficult. I will skip that because that's, and so on. I would skip the difficult parts. And this would make complete sense to me, because I saw the huge unbalance out in the world, the huge unbalance of wealth and money distribution. So the whole math school thing was totally lost for me, you could say in plain English, because the equation was out of balance in real world, in reality. So from this teaching of mine, when I taught myself to skip assignments, to skip tasks, I would bring into my adult life and my youth and my adult life, with skipping parts and sabotaging life actively. Actively sabotaging and actively skipping parts that I knew that I really had to do. I knew that I had to do this. This is something that I have to do, but I'm skipping it because I taught myself that way. So now I reckon it is time for me to become responsible within this issue, and to develop a sense of responsibility and self-directiveness, so that I can stand as a point of correction within myself, to be my own support, to stand as my self-directive point, and to be responsible with myself, and to say that, okay, if I face with problems and issues, if I face with shit during my day, during my life, I deal with it. I deal with it. I write it down on pen and paper, and I write it out. I forgive it. I embrace myself, and I let the energies go. I let it go, and I loosen it up with self-forgiveness. So that is how self-forgiveness works. You loosen things up with self-forgiveness, and you let go of the energies, the knots, the bundles. So I would like to stop myself from jumping when I'm faced with the issue, when I'm faced with a problem, with a task. I would like to investigate that task and understand what I'm doing wrong, what happened, what was the memory, what was the psychology, what was involved within this question. Understand it, open it up, and understand it, forgive it, and change. Understand it, change, and forgive it, and not live that same pattern no more. Not live that pattern no more. Change myself, and forgive myself. So this is to open up this point of jumping from my responsibility, jumping within tasks, from having learned myself this particular mindset from going to school, from desperation and in crying and in tears and snot and so on and so on, frustration. We see that math in school was something totally different than math and economics out in the real world. That those two extremes was not complying. So neither did I comply then. Hope this brings some perspectives to you and your living, your life. Hope this was helpful, and hope I can limit my jumping from issues, from problems, and to become responsible with myself, and to see things for what they are and deal with it, and use my tools of self-forgiveness, self-correction, and work on myself to become, to conquer myself, to know myself, to face my own creation. That we do a Destiny Art process. Thank you very much.